the thunderstorm in my area is absolutely wreaking havoc upon my internet. Hopefully it'll ease up by the time the game starts, because pre-show, yeah, it's kind of important, but nobody cares about the pre-show compared to the actual match. There always needs to be a nice flashback to how the game actually went, and you can't really see how the games went if there is no game to refer back to. But probably gonna have to do this all from scratch now that one VOD is corrupted. My name is SiNO, for those of you who don't know, and today we bring to you the SSL playoffs, round 1. We've already had a game where we saw big and mighty 13P take down Wild Boys Election on their third map. An absolute amazing day to see, and continue to try to wreak their havoc as they go meet ZemptyK in the round, or not round, the upper quarterfinals. No lower bracket, so that means they're just going to be forced to continue to fight and nail to get these guys on board, and to win against them, it's just going to be such a tall order, a tall task, and it will not be forgiving if players cannot raise to the task, because right now these players that are playing out in round 1 means they qualified for playoffs but aren't top 4, so they aren't granted a bye, meaning they have to play an extra game compared to the top 4 teams who are given an extra round, so just kind of sit back and relax. Player located out waiting to run out through secret, but Jax is going to be pushed out and will rotate back up to coffee room. For a full rotate, looking to get the job done here. Could be that player that is very annoying to deal with, because if I'm not mistaken, Boss G is the primary for him, meaning the second one player gets hit center mass with that thing, it is lights out for whoever is unfortunate enough to get on the receiving end or very close to it. Now Warden seems to know there's somebody in admin, but the Wamai actually, I saw the silhouette, thought it was a Warden, but Wamai seems to know there's somebody close in the distance and tries to do something, but Azami's not even on the same page as these teammates in the C4. Gets the refrag, but you've now lost one regenerative ability. You have the Wamai discs, the magnets to regenerate, but you still do need those Kiba barriers for the later stages of the round. Now you don't have either. No abilities regenerate, and now you are not in an optimal position to be able to continue to push through, as now NLG have built themselves a repertoire and also cleared out all of admin in the meantime. All they have to do now is clear out these Vulcan canisters and they'll find joy, but Sprays is barely alive, and his Twitch drones no lesser, more alive. The Rotero charges are focused on getting rid of the shield, on bending to push that player back out to long desk. Now Sprays gets hit with a gust of air, literally one bullet to take him down, and Push takes him down, finishes him off quite easily. But in the meantime, one Rotero charge gets most of the Vulcan canisters on the default plant. They'll burn until the 40-second mark, so these attackers have plenty of time to look for the execute to get going. Now Jax hears the drones coming through, so we'll use the shifter to ensure that nobody knows where he is and continues to put in the pressure if kill can come out here. But Donut has a different idea as he one-taps Jax and takes his head off the earth and continues to apply this pressure. The time continues to tick down here for these attackers. They'll just continue to go for the default plant as Flash comes in. It might affect your teammate, but he doesn't need his gun right now. He just needs to be able to hold X. And as it continues to go down, we're in a 1v2 temporarily, but now they're back up to full strength and holding the different areas of the map. But temporarily, KUSHO will be able to take possession. A 1v1, almost, Brad, almost. Could have been a beautiful round, but just falling short of that clip that you have just been denied as NLG open up the first round. And on the attack, they can continue to starve out the rounds here. KUSHO will find themselves in an uncomfortable position. Not what you want to see, especially on the first round, but the great thing about competitive is you're first to 7, and you also are given 3 rounds, or 3 maps, if you need all 3 across the entire playoffs. If it quals for that. But for KUSHO, they'll go right back upstairs to the same site to try and play the same thing again. They'll just bring a mute this time in substitution of the Vigil. But Vipex has also a different idea and brings the Roora as well, and absolutely critical on this site. Well, with the newest addition, not really a new buff, but it's been in the game for a while, but still fairly new compared to everybody else's buffs. Roora can launch her barricades from a larger distance and also spawns in with all of them at once instead of them slowly regenerating through the round. So you can continue to use them, but Vipex tells me to essentially eat it as he uses 6th pick to hop onto Monty and deprive my my lockdown as a caster. Just go straight out the window. Could be a different play this time. Looks like they're going to switch things up because you already have a player fully lurked up. And one shotty that does so much damage in the close range regardless is the one that sprays carries. If he can get one shell off, the amount of damage he will do will be irreparable to the defense. And having Vipex all up in the faces of these defenders is going to force them to make irrational mistakes, whether it be forced to waste the utility or continue to force them to focus at the attention of this player. But Charbear has his eyes, or their eyes, on the target. They'll get rid of the player holding the cross and also the rid of the rest of the bees that could be functional for the remainder of the round. Now Buck continues to tear up the floor from below, but does he know there's a threat circling? As it's a free kill fed to Jax. No flank watch. What did you expect to happen? But Sprays finally gives his team a glimmer of hope, but Charbear just runs into the middle of the site and guns down Sprays. A 2v4, and there's vertical control, but it's going the wrong way. Charbear is just going absolutely nuclear. Will shoot his teammate to try to find the quad, but no! What in the world was that idea from NLG? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they go for a completely different idea of how to hold down, and they'll pay the price. Too easy, as NLG lose their round, and they're all tied up with KUSHO. Not what you expected to see this early on, but a little bit of contradicting playstyles. I mean, with console, you usually have seen them start to conform to how the regular playstyles are instead of the run-and-gun meta, but this is a little bit of a mix. I mean, each individual player has their own assignment on how to get into the building or what to hold. Yes, correct, but now we get to see the innovation. First we saw Jax on the Vigil, then hopped on the Mute, and now on the Scopos, meaning there's not a fixed role for this one person, allowing them to really do whatever they want and know what the idea is for their team. Oh, there we go. Couple of tries, but gets the job done. Now Jackal, an interesting pick. Don't really see that, especially in competitive. I mean, the pick is a little obsolete compared to Snake and Dokkaebi, but one of the two will be banned and Donut will go the other. So maybe a little bit double trouble to make sure you rid of any and all roamers, but you don't have any global intel, and Jax just sprays so easily and gets rid of your bad. Could decide to eat the Jago payload to make sure you can't get called for the remainder of the round, but you forgot that there are flames that deploy alongside with it. Now trapping yourself into one area of the map is just not looking good for you as the buckshot delivers. Rids of the player. As Jax goes down after finding first blood. It throws a wrench in the attacker's plans, but they'll get the olive branch extended out to them by getting that refrag. Given 2 full minutes to go back to the drawing board and think about how they want to approach this site. I think both Rem and the Thermite allows them to play both heavy vertical and open up the wall a lot easier because you can see where those Zoto canisters are being thrown when trying to deny the wall. All you have to make sure now is you don't fall to a C4, as there are 3 in the arsenal of KUSHO. And it doesn't look like they're scared to use it. They're just waiting for the first audio comm to go off. Now the first thermite will be thrown across, as if you know, you know. If you put it on this wall, it evades the hatch's electrifier, and it also gets collateral damage onto the single breach. But placed it on the wrong side, didn't place it low enough, which means that wall will stay intact, but you do get the hatch open, and in turn you get rid of an electric claw as well. Now Praise taking minimal damage and still able to play full vert. Wants to educate the boogie drone as he throws it onto some books, but picks it up and gets the job done this time. Now no player occupies pillar, but each and every single one of them have a special area. 3 of them have ACOGs, and 1 of them is specially trained in the close range. I mean, Donut, come on! You have a gas pipe to ensure no one swings out, and you didn't even shoot it, leaving half a minute with your team down 1 body. It helps that the breaches are being opened up and you have full vert, but it doesn't help. You have a mute running around like a psychopath, gunning down anybody that walks in his path. A triple for Kitty Koval. Not what you expect to see, especially on the refrag from that first roamer. Done beautifully by KUSHO to get their second round. And NLG, you guys cannot be dropping rounds like that. Third and final bans to come in, getting rid of the Goyo and the Dokubi. Now Goyo is an absolutely essential operator to how this plays, but don't usually see him get taken off the board for a third and final ban. You see teams kind of save the last ban for operators that could be a little bit more annoying. Sometimes you see the Warden, sometimes you see the Kaid, but in this case it seems that the trap denial is a big part of it. Now Denari also surviving the ban phase. So interested to see how this gets to play out, but Dokubi eating the last ban is a little critical to KUSHO, as they've been roam cleared quite easily, but I mean their responses are fantastic when it comes to head-on pressure. You saw how the Scopos responded. I mean, got cornered but still wasted a minute of time and got a pick for their troubles, and then Mute realized there was a gap to take, got 3 kills, and absolutely nothing was seen in response. As NLG are yet to respond. Had a beautiful opening round, but now need to follow it up. Because a 3-1 lead can snowball really quickly and allow players to take 3, 4, maybe even 5 rounds by the halftime, especially on a map like Consulate. And it doesn't help that we have a long game ahead of us, meaning there are still 2 more maps ahead of this one, and they both play out very differently compared to Consulate. You have Nighthaven Labs, arguably the most balanced map in the game, and then you have Fortress, the newest addition to the competitive scene, making it even harder for teams to be fully meshed on. Factor in console as well, it could be a little bit difficult to see how these players adjust, but we've seen teams play it very well out, especially last week. Now, First Blood is drawn as Deftones goes down, but it's instantly met by Push Brad on the refrag. Taking a lot of damage in critical condition, but the fact is you've gotten that refrag and you've gotten rid of those ash charges before they can be utilized, allowing your team to get utility boost and to force, again, the attackers to take a second to go back to the drawing board and kind of assess what is an asset, what is a liability at this point in the round. As 90 seconds remain, and there's such a tall order to get the job done, as you have such a good idea on what you want to do, but not really enough to materialize it, as we've seen round and round again. Something that also persisted in their group stage. I mean, KUSHO hasn't found too much joy when it comes to executing correctly, and NLG, when they want to apply the pressure, they can. But we've seen a lot of pug stacks kind of go up against them, and the teams they play up against kind of don't take it seriously on the game days. Now KUSHO continue to just layer on the pressure as a flurry of kills and a sea of orange floods the kill feed. They massacre everybody before they can even approach the site or its verticality. And a 3-1 lead it is. NLG need to change something right here, right now. They don't want to finish their own map pick in under an hour. They'll head back upstairs to continue their reign of terror as the parameters re-unlock this site and allow them to try it out. They lost it once, and they've won it once. Other than that, they're on a perfect cycle for all other sites. If they can hone this one correctly, they'll get a little bit of an edge over NLG, and taking a 4-1 lead as well sets them up perfectly to take a dominant half. All they have to do is materialize it. Right now, the roamers are doing their jobs, opening up the picks and forcing these attackers to make the mistakes. You have players like Kitty Koval, Charbear, Jax, and even Push Brad, who have all had their individual moments of brilliance, really layering it on, making these mistakes happen. It's not like they come out of the wind. I mean, NLG have great ideas, great strats, but they're dead before they can even utilize them. The Monsi previously on this site was dead in, I'd say, a minute and a half, and the Aurora was 6th picked off, meaning you couldn't really properly utilize those barricades, especially with your vertical dead. Now it looks like they're very, very aware of what's going on under and on the site, as Jax has 2 lasting pings. Now searching for the drone that I imagine is still continuing to feed intel to these operators. Finally finds it, but not before. Donut's already in the building and waiting to take care of him. 40 seconds in, that's first blood and rid of the main roamer for KUSHO. Beautiful for NLG. Now they have to do is just sit back, drone, look for the utility that they want to get rid of to apply that pressure. First prism will be burned to the intel coming in from admin area. Now an awkward interaction will occur on Spiral. Kitty looks to do the same thing for the 3rd round in a row, which is run at the attackers with the shotgun and hope for the best, and he'll find success all 3 times. They've been absolutely lethal, ridding of utility as well, as Flores only has 1 Rotero charge to utilize, but Kitty Koval has reestablished an evened out man count, going 8-2 within the server and taking Spiral fully. But as a gap is hit and the live pings have been given out, Kitty Koval finally aware that it's a player that's flanking in from front desk, but realizes too late, gets a shot or 2 off. Now Donut gets a kill via Claymore, and losing those yokais as well, and their utilization is disastrous. Do you know there's a player mid-site? Pushbrad says yes. Sprays goes down. 1-man deficit for KUSHO, but in the position they're in, they still have a C4, and they have a TCSG. That's all you need to find joy if it's not properly coordinated from NLG to get this plant down. The first player hits the site, and the next is watching the cross on a pixel. That C4 needs to go loose. Now Charbear doesn't do anything. Push Brad swings out. A perfection of a dual play. The TCSG can't do anything on that pixel, but Push Brad gets a couple of shots off to the backside of the player who seeks refuge into managers. Now they know there's 1 player in admin, 1 player in managers. You have to isolate. Push Brad will do so. They both can take on the individual tasks for themselves. That's a beautiful round. KUSHO continue to clean house, and NLG have no response for them, as they haven't won a round since their first. This team continues to surprise and surprise. It's the gift that keeps giving. As the frags just get better and better with each and every gunfight that we get to see. Now KUSHO might have an edge over this team if they just continue to clean house, because look at them go. NLG finished second in their group, and they're struggling against a team that was fourth in their group stages. Just before their Swiss stage was finalized, KUSHO sat 3-1-0-3, which means 3 wins in regulation, 1 win in overtime, and 3 losses in regulation, only putting them at 7 points. NLG had 18. Not what you want to see. Could mean this is a crazy mismatch, could be a crazy upset, because NLG were very close to finishing in 4th place, which would have established a bye for them, which meant they wouldn't have to play round 1. But Wild Boys took it by 1 point in the Buchholz difference. KUSHO barely qualified, and they still got the job done. Actually, I don't even think they qualified through regular ordeals. I think one team disbanded, the other disqualified, taking out the two teams that were ahead of them in the global standings, allowing KUSHO to be pushed into the playoffs. Now, I could be 100% wrong, but I do remember hearing something along those terms. First blood opened up by none other than Kitty Koval, but instantly a frag on the other side of the map is met by Praised, as Jax falls again. Has been a frequent flyer for their team to find first blood, but also falls just as frequent. There's still so much left to do in this round. KUSHO still have the upper hand because the Brava's gone. And there's a lot of intel that you need to gather. Jackal's direct counter is on the board. 2 of them. And NLG have still so much left to do. And it looks like they continue to hit the same snag in the road. And I really don't have any way to troubleshoot it now. They're waiting for a roamer upstairs, but there's also somebody on Spiral who they have a live ping on, so sprays rids of him quite easily. Beautiful display of team coordination is now. They've sprung into action, but the same issue persists that they've had last time, which is the 3 C4s and the 1 crazy roamer that's just powered up yellow and gone absolutely nuclear. Have you ever seen an SAS operator roam this heavily and find joy every single time? The top fragger being a player who's been bound to site via anchor, but when they see the opportunity, they sprint up the stairs and blitz the players as fast as they can. 10-3 within the server. In Deftones, main idea, keep the hatches and the boogie drones off the board for as long as possible, as the Zoto canisters only have 1 remaining in the Tabaro's pocket, not using a DMR, which is a little bizarre, but really shows how serious this player is about the road. Now C4 looks to go out, but no joy on it. Having the next interaction, a mistimed spear entry by Sprays as we're slowly trickling down past that 1-minute marker, leaving so much work left to be done, but Vipex is trying to get into the site. Breach gets opened up, but Shar rids of the player that was holding the cross in the back of Coffee. Near bad falls as well, leaving 1 player exterior to the breach. 25 seconds left on the clock, and he has a sea of orange players waiting to get their chunk of the pie. And it's who else than Kitty Koval to get rid of the player as they take a 5-1 lead, as NLG have to pursue a 4-round deficit as they switch sides.
Man.
An interesting first half, not really what I expected, especially from a team with the caliber of NLG. We know they can do so much more, but right now it's just not being displayed. And I didn't even realize the group standings and the mismatch that was shown. I think we have the prior matchup from the previous game from playoff game number one, which was 13P versus Wild Boys Election, pre-playoff seeding. And yeah, we do. Look at how close this lineup was. We went to all 3 maps, and there were subs in the middle of it, which kept continuing to kill the pacing and momentum of both teams, so snowballing was eventually really hard to do, forcing us to go to OT 2 out of the 3 maps, and the last one finished 7-4 in regulation. But look at how close the numbers are. 7th to 9th place global standings. Points per match were within 1 point of each other. You had players to watch. I mean, 13P had one player who was going absolutely nuclear with a 2.9, but I mean, Wild Boys Election and 13P were a lot closer than this matchup, as it's a lot more one-sided than you would have expected, but it just sets us up for greater storylines when it comes to switching between games and seeing how the next map may pan out, because when we saw Wild Boys Election win the first map, it might have been an OT. It may not have been as convincing as this, but they ended up losing, as you saw 13P strike back with 2 rounds or 2 maps of their own back-to-back. So anything can really happen. I don't like to really jump the gun here, but an interesting Denari strat as your bad holds 1 in the pocket and doesn't utilize the prisms to ensure there we go. Usually you see most players just stack up all of them, which does kind of disregard yellow, but that's why you place a body there and make sure somebody holds that with their life, especially if they have a barrier. But interesting interactions here as the TCSG continues to hit the metal bars in the floor, forcing Deimos to kind of pivot, because he knows if he gets hit by at least one of those bullets, it's a lot of damage taken. Now Donut takes care of those Rotero charges before they even come into effect. Now 90 seconds left, and NLG are in a beautiful position. All they have to do is just maintain the advantage that they've established for themselves. Now a Twitch drone gets rid of all of the utility, making this a lot harder. And one player just lurking on the window, but not peeking at the right moment, allowing the player to seek refuge back into the site and escape safely. Now Push Brad goes down, caught in an awkward position, but you're bad taking damage from the Vulcan canister that fell. Now Sprays, rids of Deftones as well, and it's looking a lot better for NLG as they continue to strike back, and there's no picks to be won back yet. A trade, but Sprays gets the last laugh as he'll actually kill Kitty Koval. Well, he'll only go down. A flawless round to open up your defensive campaign. I'd sure say that's convincing to get this comeback on the road. The deficit explodes down to 3 rounds. Not what I was expecting for the opening campaign, but NLG are suckers for a good impression, as they'll have no problem proving themselves if they can continue to apply this pressure onto KUSHO. I'm sure they'll crumble given the moment. Now, Mutant Mirror no longer an option for this team. Does kind of cripple them in some areas, being the intel will be a little bit difficult to use or counter. But that means you get to maintain a good majority of the players who can deny the plant or keep areas of the map closed off, being the Kaid, the Smoke, the Goyo. They'll all survive the ban phase, and you'll be able to utilize them just until past round 9. The final bans will be used, and quite interested to see what these teams will do with those final bans. Looks like the modern solution for this will be one player in sight, everybody else roam. They're putting up a multiple front. And you can see the debris fall through the map, which is the glass coming in from admin. Giving the call as well from the players on the rappel. Looking for a player rappel. It's such an easy kill for Donut. Hungry for it. The blitz also has the shield on his back, which means he cannot get located by the IO scanner. Donut, your chance is gone. You'll only do a tick of damage compared to a kill you would have been guaranteed because that player was on a drone and everybody else was focusing on Spiral instead. Now the first Jago payload will be deployed, but instantly responded to by your bad, as not a single player is close enough to apply the pressure and force this Vigil to make the utter decision whether it's to eat the call or take the gunfight. Now Shar goes down to very low HP, and one impact could mean death. But Kitty Koval there to save the day and also grabbing cams. The insult to injury puts KUSHO in a great situation, but sprays as an answer of his own as he just pushes up Visa stairs, and nobody has a response until it comes to getting rid of Donut, who can drop this hatch and get picked up. But if Doki has the contact and ping on Donut, it's death for everybody. As Shar gets rid of sprays. Vipex waiting for his teammate to get into cover to res him, but again, it's a very hard situation as Jax is already there to clean it up. It's a two-man advantage built up very quickly for KUSHO, and they look to continue to apply that pressure. As time continues to tick down, C4 to no connection. Praised eats the Jago payload because he's going to be responding to a camera in a 2v4 situation, and a flash used as they seem to know that someone in the general area. And nothing definitive yet. They'll head downstairs, and it doesn't seem like they know that there's somebody sitting upstairs. Praised has the ability to do something great here to get rid of this Blitz operator. Second guessing, but eventually it'll pay off, and Ram coming for seconds, but it doesn't work. Praised with the heroics gets the job done, and Vipex strikes back. A 2v4 thrown out the window for KUSHO after they fought tooth and nail to establish this lead. They'll lose it in the blink of an eye to a roaming smoke. It's like SAS operators in roaming is the name of the game. The plant has to be faked in this type of situation. There's just too much pressure to crumble in this area. The one shot that came in from that DCSG was enough to force Deftones off the plant. Now they're just going to play a game of push and pull as these players continue to shift and occupy different positions of sight. As Vipex realizes he's confined to this hallway and gets the kill, NLG continue to close down the deficit. And KUSHO, I'd begin to go into panic mode if I were you. They're starting to play like their former selves. And there's no response to it quite yet. Not what you expect to see from a team that was just down 5-1 as KUSHO got a little too comfortable within the server, and NLG are taking full advantage of that as they continue to go back and forth. Even in 2v4 situations, they're playing at their best. And it doesn't really look like KUSHO had anticipated this. As one more round, you're looking at a one-round deficit. KUSHO's been one round shy of that match point for a while now, and they've started to look like they're struggling to get to that point. They can't find it. It does not look good if this team can come back and go on to the second map with a crazy snowball effect on the amount of momentum they would have built from successfully bringing a comeback. No big defender presence on the Visa side of the map, meaning you can really just sit back, relax, and wait for these attackers to come to you. As time continues to slowly but surely tick down, it'll slowly be opened up as the chaos is opened up by Kitty Koval and the Lurk. Sprays gets hit with a taste of his own medicine, something he had done previous when he was on the attacking campaign. And now it's backfired, as one shot does the damage to give the advantage over to KUSHO. All they have to do now is maintain it. Charbear playing a game of the floor is lava. Can't really touch down anywhere until those flames subside. Which they will soon enough. A little funny to see the dancing blitz on a desk. As the Jago payloads continue to deliver to the two common operators with the intel. As your bad decides to eat it. Almost decides to eat a C4 as well, but no bueno. Now verticality on this site is of the utmost importance. No solos brought makes this a lot harder. And Valkyrie also eating the Jago payload makes this a lot more confusing, as you can no longer access your phones, both you and the Mozzie, making it a lot harder for you guys to utilize your utility. Having to fully rely on sprays, cycling cameras, but that's a tall order to cycle Black Eyes, the default cams, and Mozzie drones. Now, if you're bad, opens it up, gets rid of Kitty Cobal, and it's a blitz into the site as Char needs to kill this castle. Otherwise, it's going to look disastrous as these players are raining down bullets and explosives. And they'll all connect as there's still so much left to do, and the time continues to run down against them. The player has touched down too, making this a lot harder. No Solus needed. They continue to apply this pressure, but Shark gets rid of Praised. And there's some hope yet, but there's still so much left to do. All of these players are low, including the lone attacker, leaving one bullet to do the job. And NLG, I told you, once they start playing like themselves, there's no stopping them. One round before it's all tied up as KUSHO have tossed the lead out the window. The olive branch crumbles. And NLG, I can only imagine the celebratory calls as they now need to win one more and they're all tied up. No timeout yet to be called, as KUSHO do have a dedicated coach, but seems like no input will be called as of now. And for those of you who don't know, console does not adhere by the halftime 2-minute split timeout, which means you do not get an extra 2 minutes to confer with your staff, your coaches. You just got to take the brunt end of it and try to troubleshoot the best you can with what you have. So the IGL / the captain is going to be in charge of keeping his players' heads on straight. But I mean, for a team that was starting out with a roaming mute who continued to find success in the weirdest moments of the round, to a team who's now lost 3 rounds in a row and have yet to find one on their attacking campaign, makes this a lot harder to find joy. Go, that's a Denari strat. There we go. Layer all of them. The more you layer, the merrier. Pair that up with Mute. Oh my goodness. But unfortunately, Mute is banned in this situation. Now, KUSHO, this sits as your most important rounds. Anyone can forgive the past if you can open this one up with a win and go on to the match point. Now, who else but Kitty to find the first, as 14 kills have been broken, and the player looks to get closer to 20. 6 remain, and I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to get it, as the performance they've been putting on is absolutely stellar. To rid of the Azami this early in the round is just monumental for the amount of pacing that you can use for the round, but we've seen it time and time again. Kitty operating on a different frequency and wavelength as the teammate. There we go. I mean, first pick is opened up by that one player, and then there's an instant refrag in the opposite direction, tying things right back up. These moments of turmoil is what causes rounds to be lost so easily. KUSHO just have not had the second to slow down, think about what they can do to kind of apply the pressure onto NLG in different forms and factors that could potentially force more mistakes out of them. And they're
still quiet on what they want to do. Now time, slowly but surely, ticking down against them. They need to make a move here as they've lost that Twitch, meaning they'll have to use the Aurora and the Flores drones together to ensure either a player or a drone can safely get onto that site door to pop those Vulcan canisters, as 3 are going to be more than enough to rid of the time, as each of them burn 20 seconds each. With a minute left, you guys can do the math. They won't be able to walk into the site without taking damage. Now, it seems like they're very weary of a Lurk player, but now nothing is on the board. All 3 Vulcans now popped, 1 by the defense, 2 by the attack. Vipex opens it up, but Charbear is instantly there with the refrag. It instantly erupts on the long desk side, leaving half a minute for these players to get creative. Now, if you want somebody to be alive by this situation, it's Kitty. Now, the stun confirms that there's a player sitting close and long. The question is, can catering be successfully denied? It seems like you know exactly where all 3 defenders are. You need to hit the mark on all of them. Vipex needs to isolate. Cannot. Gets isolated. Kitty gets instantly refragged. The C4 goes wide, and it'll hit the mark. As Sprays will make it a 1v2, but the plant goes down as the last dying order from the fallen teammate. Charbear needs to ensure that Sprays doesn't cross, as there is a long arm angle that ensures the player is hidden. And with the cross being held down from Vending, you need to be able to win it. There's just no way! Charbear mauls the player on Vending and instantly hits the 180 to get rid of the counter diffuser. A ridiculous round from KUSHO to push them onto the match point. Well needed. And now NLG scratching their heads for what could have been the tie game that they've been chasing for the entire game. A ridiculous round and an even more ridiculous ending as KUSHO continue to semi-show us why they're here to win Consulate out. They were here at the beginning of the map, kind of fell asleep during the midst of it, but now they're awake and fighting due to the individual prowess of one player, as they've also broken double digits from that clutch. Now Kitty and Charbear are combined for 26 kills. And Kitty Koval just continued to be an absolute menace for their team. Same site, same idea. As they know they need to ensure that they can counter the Aura barricades, and it looks like they can, as Omai is brought, but they cannot fall bodies. As Kitty Koval has opened up the picks in the kill feed almost every single round since this match has started up. All quiet on the western front as a minute burned off the clock, and it's relatively quiet as the attackers send in their utility, but nothing presents itself yet. Time slowly but surely being run down by these defenders, and they still have so much utility to hide behind. They're finally starting to apply the onion strategy, where they slowly but surely peel off the layers. Previously, they gave up too early on the extensions, allowing the attackers to pivot, plant their feet, and take their time when it comes to executing. Now Zofia, not even attempting to use the 3 big booms, but has a lurk, but the comm has to come out.
Because if Azami gets a pick here, that's a big blunder by Cobalt as a team player. Azami takes a pivotal spot in managers. Could blow the Azami up from below, but needs to isolate Sprays and will do so successfully. Azami is given a free kill. You guys need to drone out. You need to be aware. Something needs to happen to change. As Donut goes down to 1 HP and Jax is there to clean it up and finish off that player. Now, the 3 big booms can also be used to get rid of any utility that sits in the site, and it will do so successfully. Kitty getting a pick, getting rid of util as well. Now, you get ready for the final third. Well, tied up at 3-all. The question is, who's hungrier for this? There's less health on the side of KUSHO, but more individual talent. There's not a single player alive on NLG. It's positive, but it won't matter, as Yurbad proves me wrong, and so does Vipex. They get rid of any and every single player that occupy pivotal positions. And in the meantime, Jax decides to start proning in the middle of the door, meaning we'll need max regulation to see if we need overtime or if this will finish in 12. A beautiful round from NLG, from being down 5-1 to coming up and closing out the deficit to just 1 round. If they can win out 1 more, they're on OT. A monumental round to ensure no momentum builds up that carries on to the next map. We still have a long series ahead of us. If you're still joining us, this is a best of 3. We have Consulate being our opener, Nighthaven as our mid, and Fortress if we need all 3, which I think honestly is a dream best of 3 series. A map that's very balanced for either side in the middle of the series. An opener that has its ins and outs, and then Fortress, what being the newest competitive map, just makes this so much more enjoyable to watch. Kitty now looking for an easy way to get into the building without losing health or giving away their position too early in the round, as this player has thrived on the element of surprise to get a bunch of superstar plays. Might be able to do the same thing again, but Praise reads right into it. Start to go positive, as now the most influential player on the team of KUSHO has fallen very early on, and to make matters worse, Sprays gets rid of Deftones as well, forcing the kit loose, leaving only 2 minutes to get 2 picks back in blood, establish flank watch, and get rid of the players that sit in the areas that could be a little bit more annoying to deal with. And keep in mind, the site is 2 floors down for these attackers. The hatch is not open. These players only want to go down via the stairs, which means they will die in the positions they occupy. And right now, that's a great thing considering they have a 2-man advantage. And so much utility to continue to layer. Now, Gridlock has an idea that there's a player yellow. Yes, but are you aware of the player that's sitting crouched close? Doesn't matter. Brad's reaction time is out of this world and takes Yurbad's head off his shoulders quite easily, to be honest. An operator that would have been very crucial. See the blitz in real time and the plant if it were to go down this round. But the only player as of now that's fallen for NLG as Praise doubles down and gets rid of Jax, and Praise goes big for the 3rd, leaving just push Brad to isolate. What is up with the SAS operators pushing up yellow
all the way up to the 3rd floor and getting triple and quad kills. It's gone both sides. And it's worked out quite successfully as of now. All of these defenders hungry to finish this player off as they all swing him. Not an avenue to walk out of this alive. As Sprays finishes him off with the shotgun. Overtime it is. 3 overtimes in 2 series. This could arguably be the closest SSL playoffs I've ever covered, as all of these teams just get hungrier and hungrier to grab up the points and advance further through the bracket. Potentially, the round that NLG could take the lead for the first time for the entire map. As KUSHO needs to protect their reputation. These players need to all get on the same page. Kitty Cobell needs the support. And if that is ensured, then maybe we can find ourselves in an area that doesn't involve NLG going up to match point. Maybe a rush plan's the idea here. Look at the operators that they bring. So much different ideas of pressure that they can really establish. That being said, they can get into the right area of the building in a certain point in time. This could be something that closes this out a lot faster than they would have anticipated. But something that stands in between them is Sprays going around clearing out the drones alongside with Donut. As everybody else kind of occupies a weird angle in the building. Somebody on Spiral, somebody in Tellers, 2 bottom Visa now. As they continue to slowly but surely take their positions and settle in as they burned off a minute off the clock and haven't had to do anything. No confrontation. There we go. Needed. God. Sometimes the solo casting will get to you, but the show must go on. Wrong timing for Jax as they look away at the wrong time. And the TCSG just guns him down in broad daylight. Pipex gets one onto Kitty. Shard, though, gets praised, and Pipex also goes down into trade. Leaving us at an evened out count. Brad has a shotgun. Doesn't need a death mark to get live pings from your Monsi. Now the positions are being established in the building. And that Vulcan canister can be very difficult to deal with, so he can just decide to stick it if Pushback can keep him held down. But Your Bad is able to advance on, not before caught up by Deftones, but Sprays is there on the flank. Has gotten rid of the contact point on site. Now C4 cannot do anything to get rid of this player. If you pop this Vulcan, it is over for counter defusing as they burn for 20 seconds. Not sure what the idea there is for Sprays. Now you need to play a game of keep away, and that's exactly what KUSHO are doing. Because they will be damned, then let their opponent take the lead once they were once up 5-1. Now the time will surely expire on this player. He cannot get rid of these 2 players and get on that time to counter defuse. As you might be able to find 1 kill, but you don't even have an idea on where the Deimos is. Sprays confused on where that damage is coming from, and Brad, to add insult to injury, to rub salt in the wound, will finish off that player as that timer nears 0.
Not what I was expecting in the slightest. But that's why we love this game. So many different narratives. So many different ideas on what players want to do within the server. But sometimes they just can't put their ideas on paper. They can't quite convert. And right now, that might be the idea. That could be the reason why we're not seeing NLG perform to the best of their ability. Maybe they're just taking a little bit of time to warm up, and you know what? Sometimes that's perfectly fine. Because in best of threes, you're given a second chance to prove yourself. But you're going to need to do so in a damn convincing way to go back down to match point. You've been fighting from behind this entire matchup. Close this out, and you will find joy. Get the first map as you'll go on to a very, very neutral map in comparison to this one. Now Echo finally making a cameo on the last potential round of this game. Hasn't been seen since I think the first or second round. Because NLG was on the defense. Other than that, hasn't been seen on the board. Which I do think teams do underutilize Echo when it's not on bank. Because 3 Yokais, a shotgun, and a shield, a fully secondary automatic. I mean, moving like prime smoke. Oops, you know what? You know what? You're bad. We're going to give you the benefit of the day, and we're just going to switch off of you. Some people are allowed to just have 1 or 2 mistakes. Oh, Kobe, he's pushed in a player to reception. Now Kitty has been a little bit quieter. Hasn't been finding those triples or quads, but has still been finding those picks when needed. Has pushed Brad, rids of the Apex, and those Aura barricades, making it crucial to the integrity of this round. Could be disastrous right here, as KUSHO have established a lead that they can take far, but Kitty just gets so hungry to get closer to the 20 bomb. Donut takes full advantage of that. Blows up the front desk, also taking Spiral, and the Denaris get rid of most of the coverage provided. Meaning this is such a horrible spot to put your team in, especially when it was going so well. Now players look like they're going to rally to get towards the default plant, as one player is the choke point to make sure no flanks come through from long desk. Now their terror charges are sent in through to make sure that no easy utility spots or anchors are being sent in. Now the Shmikas are being provided on the long angle, leaving a minute left to try to get that plant down, whether it's to get rid of the Tachanka or to murder the entire opposing team. Regardless, you have 50 seconds to make your choice. TCSG, make no mistake, if it's sprayed, will get rid of sprays. A little ironic on the wordplay. Donut gets rid of push Brad, putting us right back up to even. Are they aware that there's a player lurking? It may be too late as Charbear gets rid of praised. And Donut's in the middle of the site, but guess what? You're bad. Might have it on his hands, but the triple kill from Char says no, leaving just Donut in a 1v2 with barely any time to work with in a game of keep away. There's no way he can possibly keep his team alive to push them to all 15. Now the C4 comes loose, time ticking down. He's confined to the corner, needs to win this. The pre-fire doesn't connect. Yes, it does. They trade, meaning KUSHO, by technicality, win it to take the first map and push us to Nighthaven with 1 in their pockets. I've never seen such a thing happen in overtime, but it does. That's the beautiful duality of this game. KUSHO take it in almost max overtime. 1 round shy of it, 14 rounds it took. But with that being said, map 2, soon to come, Nighthaven Labs. Let's see who can prove themselves as it's series and match point
for KUSHO and NLG need to prove themselves. Don't go anywhere. Grab a quick refresher, and we will be back after a swift break. I mean, absolute peak for the first map. These players are ready, so am I. So without further ado, we'll have a little bit of a speedy pre-show to get the job done. For those of you who missed the first map, I mean, you missed out. I mean, even the broadcast is trolling you. My package decided to just give up on life. But Consulate was the first map where it finished 6-8 in the favor of none other than KUSHO. Oh, there we go. Decided to fix it up. But I guess the score has decided to call it a day. An absolute cinematic touch, as now Nighthaven Labs awaits us. Make sure to get your predictions in while we get this game up and ready. But guess what? These players are already prepared. So without further ado, let's send it. Let's get this game done. And let's see what these players have for us on the second map. Via technicality, we'll have to call a quick rehost, as it looks like Siege has not been on our side today. But that gives you more time to get your votes in. We'll be back after a swift break.
wanted to, I can do it. Everyone you, and I know it. Stay place with you, and I can give it. Everyone you, and I know it. Stay place with you. Made it no high. So you know highs. So you know highs. Got reputation, always on one and no highs. I could be the daddy on you, and I know it. Stay case with you. I could be the daddy on you, and I know it. Stay place with you. I know you. Doing what I'm made of sometimes. I know you. Someone least embedded in mine. It feels so right. I wanna wait. I don't know if I can be, but something's gone. You're not my way. I just wanted to, I can do it. Everyone you, and I know it. Stay place with you, and I can give it. Everyone you, and I know it. Stay place with you.
Might have taken a second, but the game finally decides to side with us, so we'll try this again. The bans from the previous rehost will not be counted as the sides were wrong, so these players are able to ban from scratch, get the job done, whatever they really want to do. Those of you who missed the first game in this pre-show, 8-6 was the scoreline of the first map, where NLG fell just short, but it was a valiant effort despite they were down 5-1 by the first time half split, and they almost came back to win it in OT. Robbed at the last moment. An individual moment of brilliance. Players almost breaking 20 bombs. So now there's a lot left to do for either side, but it's still series point for KUSHO if they can close it out right here, right now. Now, Mute and Bandit being the main bans here are a little perplexing. Bandit makes sense. You usually see teams nowadays opt to ban out the Kaid and Bandit so you don't allow the Tabaro and the Kaid denial very easily, but Mute has seemed to gain a lot of traction ever since he's gotten a buff with his vertical range with his jammer, and yes, that makes sense because he's a direct counter to a lot of the operators nowadays, but still, you would expect that to not alter the main ideas of the team and how they want to play this out, because that means they'll now allow NLG to keep the breach close for as long as humanly possible if they can manage, because Maverick is not on the board and Vipex is hiding the electric claws, meaning it'll be a lot harder to clear this out, and with Tabaro it's just adding insult and rubbing salt all over the wound. First Blood gets onto the superstar of the first map as Kitty Koval falls, trying to hit the 3 big booms onto Vipex. That TCSG rips him out. A little too easy as now. Time slowly but surely will be the biggest problem for this team. Now Vipex just retrieves both electric claws, and now they're ready to get the job done. Now Deftone seems to have heard it and now is waiting for the support for the EMPs from his teammate. But are they aware that both of them are being used? They're wasting so much time right now, and these attackers, I know you have ample time to get the breach open, but I'm just more concerned that the first Zoda was used by a minute burned already. Meaning there's a lot more that you're going to have to worry about if there's no backstab coming up from Garage, and it's highly unlikely considering everyone else is looking for a different avenue to pursue. Now Thermite has gotten out of dodge and gone to open up the connector breach, which is a win inside of itself, but right now these players are having a field day with the IT breach, meaning they can sit in Rafters, Garage, and IT comfortably without having to worry if they can successfully get the trick off. Now, miscoordinated and miscalculated where to put the electric claw so it could reactivate in time, and the breach does get opened up, which is a olive branch extended out to KUSHO, and they'll take full advantage of it as Thermite gets rid of sprays. And now with the different angle, you can continue to apply that pressure, but Donut wins that gunfight to get that refrag, but Char, so patient on IT, reestablishes a certain area, but it's instantly lost. But Pushbrad meets it. It's just continuous back and forth as Pushbrad goes big with 2, opening up the entire site. But You're Bad has something to say about that. 3 sets of Grim Bees. 40 seconds left and no Mute to worry about. Just you and the player. Case in the middle of the site. You could decide to bring it close and try to rely on your bailiff, but You're Bad also has a secondary. That is a shotgun. Time slowly but surely running down against him. He looks to close out the distance, opting to use the 5.52 instead at a little bit of a longer distance. The pre-fire. Oh, Brad. Your first impressions are absolutely magnificent. A triple kill to open up Nighthaven Labs. KUSHO have no plan on stopping anytime soon. And NLG need to do damage control if they don't want to get eliminated without putting up a map. They'll try to reattempt the same site. They'll have all of these operators with them until post third round, where the third and final band strike, and we'll get rid of one operator that the attackers find particularly difficult to deal with. Now, not necessarily a bad round out of NLG, but just both breaches being opened up when you have the Tabaro and the Kaid just make it a lot more difficult to establish areas of pressure when IT is just open fest for whoever's there. I mean, you saw it. Thatcher was able to find a first kill, and despite even falling, it was just so easy for KUSHO to spring back into action because of how many different areas they were able to pursue in a short amount of time. First interaction of the round will be Jax onto Warehouse, but nothing will arise out of it. They had a player lurking in the basement last time. Doesn't seem to be the case this time around. Now the EMPs are a little bit late, but no, exothermics will get rid of. Now it looks like they finally read into how to not lose these electric claws earlier in the round, but they still are being affected by the zonal canisters because of Tabaro's most recent nerf. Now Vipek's just having a field day, just throwing them, picking them up and throwing them down. 3 EMPs means 3 attempts left, and you've yet to open up the connector breach, I assume. Time slowly but surely runs down, but they have can openers, meaning a different operator has opened it up. Meanwhile, the attackers are mainly focused on it, but I mean, Deftones has found himself in the middle of the site temporarily, gets it down and doesn't even need to do anything about it because he knows he's in an unresable position, and Push Brad does what is in his name and pushes into the site. Oh, Brad, you die swinging! As he'll take care of Praised as well. Sprays, you need to put that gun to work if you want to clutch a 1v3. You'll get past the first barricade, but the other 3 come swarming at you like wasps. And you'll fall down without a fight. KUSHO take the second in another convincing manner. Is this Consulate 2.0, or will this finish out in regulation where NLG will be choked out and answerless by the end of this series? NLG, you need to wake up. I want to see you guys in the future. This team is an absolute powerhouse of names you should recognize when you go around the console scene. But they're looking to get eliminated right now by a team that's almost gotten in by technicality. That would not be a good look. But right now, you have to give credit where credit is due. KUSHO's putting up an absolute performance, getting the job done. As every round goes on, I have more and more faith in them. First interaction seems to be with Praise just lurking. Both South Korean operators looking to interact early. The battle of the SMG-12s at close range, and Vigil using the ability, but it doesn't matter if there's already a soft ping. There's another operator, and the question is, does Koval know? Has been an absolute powerhouse, but seems to hear something. Can't quite put their finger on it yet, but they know. A moment captured in silence as a barricade is what stands in between them. The shot confirming the suspicions of Kitty Koval, but sprays on the lurk on the backhand could mean the ending of this roam, but Shar gets involved, and it's an absolute blitz into the site. As now the integrity of site is completely compromised by losing 2 players on a soft roam.
or a heavy roam. The last player was soft roaming, is now deceased. Now leaving 2 players to have to take such a tall order, make it 1, as KUSHO are so comfortable on this map. Their second home, as they continue to apply the pressure and don't go for the Animus drop because they know how easy the C4 drop is. Instead, they'll send 1 player who just runs past the C4, hits the deck, and continues to run circles around Vipex. But unfortunately for him, the TCSU will rip him apart, but Shar will be the one that delivers the final blow with the P12 as KUSHO take a 3-0 lead. No answers right now from NLG. No timeouts, just a final ban and the comms from their coach that hopefully have enough inspiration in them to save their team's hopes at making the quarterfinals. They'll head back down to the same site. We'll continue to reattempt and hope for the best. Such a tall order for NLG, and it really doesn't help considering the momentum is just continuing to just crumble against them. I mean, the snowball effect is no joke. Some teams excel against it, and some teams just crumble at the sight of it. And right now, you can see the type of team that NLG is, as they have not been able to find joy. And that really puts things into perspective on how they're going to be able to troubleshoot. Because if Nighthaven doesn't end up their way on the attack, I mean, this could be a disaster. It could be worse than Consulate. A 5-1 lead is honestly the least of my concerns. I think we're going to go to a 6-0 if it continues down the same path. I mean, not a single round we've had has been as close as the first, and even then, it was the individual brilliance from Push Brad who found himself in the middle of the site, just executing whoever walked into his crosshairs, making this very worrisome for NLG. P90 shots will ring to the main lobby in the meeting hall as Sprays' location has been given away. But right now, the attackers have an idea of who they want to clear, and right now, I'm also curious as to who they want to clear out. It's clear all of upstairs, but it looks like they do their due diligence to clear out from top to bottom. Deftones will get a refrag, but not before he himself is refragged. Only 1 player fell, so it wasn't actually a refrag. I apologize. I thought I saw a second kill, but 1 apiece for either team, leaving us at a stalemate of 4-all as these players approach now bottom cargo. But you'll have a player come back up the stairs to help his teammate as they wanted to approach site, but they'll stick to the fundamentals of Siege as it's just a flurry of kills mixed both ways. But it'll end with NLG. 1 player in a down state, now finished by Kitty Koval, leaving us in a 1v2 situation. Do they know that Donut is here? It won't matter as this place of danger, the energy will subside and Kitty seems to hear the player, and it won't even matter. Doesn't need the support of his teammate. Walks in and guns the player down in broad daylight. Bodies are being shot in celebration. 4 rounds unanswered for NLG. They need to wake up. If they can win these 2 rounds, it is very achievable for them to win this 4-2 split. And then from there, it gives them a base to work with. But 5 unresponded rounds, 6 unresponded rounds wraps up this series in a nice bow. And Christmas came early for KUSHO. know, KUSHO. How do you do it? The polls were against you. My personal experiences with either team had me seeing NLG taking this. But they've surprised us all, and they've shown us absolute peak. They know how to play, when to do certain things, and it's evident that they're more than willing to put in the pressure to force mistakes upon their opposing team. Wouldn't be surprised if they went far in this series and in the playoffs. They now will be projected to match up against the Wild Boys main roster, which will be a difficult game, but with the way they're playing, wouldn't be surprised if it went to all 3 maps. Should be covered on this channel as well, so if you are interested, drop a follow for all your broadcasting needs, whether it be console or PC. I do it all. Now 40 seconds burned off the clock. Not really much to it, except for the breach mirror, which I've been itching to see, because NLG have been taking full advantage of the fact that they had Kai, so they've been using the Tabaro as well to take full advantage. Now, Vipex could use a C4, will do so, but it will be affected by the Zoto canister, so it will not detonate. It will be very easily shot out. Breach really wants to get opened up here, but Vipex doing everything to waste out these precious seconds. Taking heavy damage from below, and Kitty executes the player. What do you think was going to happen, buddy? The floor below you is in shambles. 90 seconds remain, and the attackers are starting to push these defenders into sight. They're hurting them, and it's working perfectly as Praised finally alleviates some of the pressure coming in from water. But 75 seconds remain, and they're all put into default positions. It seems like they know where one player is in water, and Kitty will be there to save the day. Was trying to get 20 kills in this series, but now just wants to get this done. Wants to just qualify for the quarterfinals as the pressure continues to amount on these defenders. And they're starting to just walk into the crosshair of these attackers. They continue to just get picked off one by one. A near flawless round yet again. It's just Brad and Kitty bouncing off each other. Prime D-Wade and LeBron throwing lobs up as KUSHO go up 5 rounds, no responses. Arguably one of the fastest maps we'll ever see if they can take 6 and then 7, no pun intended. Take the series home and eliminate NLG. You have to remember, there's absolutely 0 second chances in this league. There is no lower bracket. You play 7 weeks of Swiss for a reason. 20 teams to fight against. Multiple groups. You need to put your best foot forward and continue to apply the pressure. I mean, I don't know what we're seeing, but it's arguably one of the most interesting things we've seen. The round that will prove if this team is willing to stay in this. So much left to do for you, NLG. I believe in the comeback. I said it on Consulate, and you guys almost brought it back in OT. But there have been no signs of life this entire matchup. KUSHO's been running circles around, and NLG have been perfectly fine with that. The assault on radar's overclock locates the Vigil before he turns on his radar. a lot harder to catch these players off guard as now they wait for reinforcements to arrive. Yurbad is there for the vigil, but guess what? The entire attacking force is now grasping everything around connector, IT, and electrical to ensure that one player doesn't walk out if you're alive. They may not be aware that there's somebody aside from the vigil up here. Now Deftones has a solo lurk on his hands if he can find it. Blitz, unaware that Vipex is below, and that's beautifully played out. They use the impacts in advantage. Now Vigil looking to continue to apply the pressure and will walk through the Grim Bees, giving away his position. A body lost. Guys, there's nobody in sight. He's just planting with no opposition. Hello? Guys, the plant's going down. Can we wake up? Deftones has stuck it, putting us in a 9-man countered situation in a post-plant race against time. These defenders have become attackers, and it looks like they're doing a great job at that. But the person you don't want alive, the kryptonite of NLG, is still on board. Kitty Koval has broken double digits inside of 6 rounds and continues to rip up within the server. And now all they have to do is infamously park the bus. Kitty losing so much health, but can continue to sit in this corner because all you have to do is run this clock out to 7 seconds. But are you hungry for that quad? It won't even matter. You're bad. You can be on the double, the triple, maybe even the quad, but you don't have enough time to counter defuse, and that's all that matters. KUSHO, in 1/2, advance on to the match point with no answers from NLG. I'm absolutely lost to what we're seeing and witnessing here and now. I mean, KUSHO is cleaning house. They look confident. They know what to do and when to do it. And they're having a field day each and every single time they interact with an opposing player. Is this too far to recover for NLG? 6 rounds down on the attack. The lesser preferred side on Nighthaven. This is an even map. The most even amongst everything else that we see in the pool. And they now get to go attack the lesser preferred side on an even map. That is not good. That is not what you want to hear when you have 6 rounds won in 2 maps. Not what you want to hear, guys. Not what you want to hear in the slightest. Maybe a Cinderella story soon to come. This is all just a facade. I sure hope it is. As the viewers would be robbed of a 3rd map. I was excited to go to Fortress. It's arguably my favorite map to cast. But that will not be needed. Not here, not now, not today. As NLG have left their game faces at home. And KUSHO is taking full advantage. First pulse pick of this entire series. And it's, of course, on Kitty Koval. I've never heard of this player until today. And double digits have been broken on both maps. Brad, also an absolute weapon for their team, has been putting in each and every single shift to hit a gap, and it's been working every single time. I've never seen a Fragger Grim, but it's worked. And Kitty, no matter what operator they're on, they rip it up from within. Now, does Donut know there's an impending doom below? Deftones opens it up and gets rid of Vipex, but the Grim Reaper slowly but surely trails this entry operator. Not so covert if your heartbeat is being given up second by second. And it looks like Brad has the idea, but right now has more to worry about. If Donut takes a stationary position here, it's lights out. Good night! Two-man advantage inside of a minute. Defenders, they could sit back, relax, and run the clock out, but do you know this team? That is not what they're gonna do. Brad has a tall order ahead of him. He's gonna circle back for seconds. Now Yurbad finally gets to pick for his team. Now the Twitch needs to take Raptors control here to deter this zombie from swinging, but will do no such thing and will lose their life trying to do so. But will shave off health of two operators before falling. Praised has more red on his health bar than actual health. And Yurbad is half up. Meaning anything can happen. A gust of wind could take these players out. Seems like there's intel on a pulse below. Doesn't have a shotgun, but will attempt to floor bang. A shotgun in the close range is not what you want for these players. Sprays, gets blasted in the face, but it's an instant refrag. The two players that remain hold their team's fate in their hands. In under a minute, they need to perform a miracle to ensure that they don't get eliminated this early on. A team that was projected to go deep into the playoffs. To get eliminated by a team that qualified via technicality, as they currently cannot find joy. They don't even know where the player sitting in offices is. He can rip it up from command if they go for a default plant. It's lights out. And Jax has a deadly cross, but Praised has read into it. Kitty, there's no way. You'll get rid of the first. You'll get up to ensure the player has more to do. This player is simply unreal. What in the world has he put up? An insane performance. Not what you expect to see. Almost dropped 20 digits in the first 20 kills, double digits, and now puts up 14 on his second. That's a near 30 bomb in 2 maps. Do you understand simply how insane that is to think about? KUSHO now eliminate NLG with little to no opposition. Overtime first map. I thought we were here to go to a third map. I thought we were here to fight it out, but NLG, somewhere in between the first and second map, fell asleep at the wheel. And that eventually leads to KUSHO sweeping house, dropping 0 rounds on their second map. These teams have to watch out now. Whoever plays them needs to ban Nighthaven because that performance was unreal. But in terms of broadcast, I've been SiNO doing everything behind the desk here today. Thank you guys so much for watching it. Make sure to leave a follow and subscribe to support this broadcast. We have a great time doing this, but we need to keep it up and running. Have a great rest of your night. I'll see you guys in the next broadcast, which will be tomorrow, the day after, and the day after. We have 3 back-to-back-to-back playoff games to get this game, this league, this playoff at the max height. Have a great rest of your night, guys, and I'll see you guys in the future. Later.
I just wanted to, I can feel it.